Good day, everyone. I am Dr. Nympha Branzuela from the University of Southeastern Philippines, Tagum City. Today, we are going to answer this question. Is Davao City, Philippines water surplus or water deficit in the next 100 years? First, I will start with the rationality, then the objectives and limitations of the study. It will be followed by methodologies and analytical processes. Of important note, climate change is factored in this research question. Is Davao City, Philippines water deficit or water surplus? To start with, let me introduce to you the famous Davao City. Famous because the Philippine president comes from the city. It is also where Mount Apo, the highest peak in the Philippines, is partly located. Geographically, Davao City is situated at the southern part of the Philippines. It has a population of 1.6 million as of 2015. Being one of the highly urbanized city, Davao has intensive water consumption. Davao City Water District or DCWD is the major water provider throughout the city. It extracts groundwater resources for domestic use from Talomo-Lipada's watershed. 99% of the general population depends on Talomo-Lipada's watershed for its drinking water supply. Figure 1 depicts the Talomo-Lipada's watershed, covering 38,375 hectares. Figure 2 illustrates the 3D map showing the various land uses, land cover, its boundaries, 2 hydrometeorological stations, and 1 agro-meteorological station. As we all know, water is a finite resource. Walang forever. And this is the blood life to sustain all life forms, economic activities, and human development. However, it cannot be denied that water is threatened by its conflicting uses for domestic, irrigation, hydroelectric power, among others. And these challenges are aggravated because of the impact of climate change. Thus, this study leads to the general objective assessing what domestic water supply in the next 100 years. Specifically, this study have assessed groundwater availability and projected water consumption and extraction. Given the projected build customers. Finally, the study also assessed the projected groundwater availability in the 3 time slice periods. The 3 time slice periods are 2020 covering 2011 to 2040, 2050 covering 2041 to 2070, and 2080 covering 2071 to 2100. This study has its limitations. First of, in the accounting of water consumption, only Davao City Water District or DCWD water extraction were computed. But other big water users like water-based industries were not accounted for. These big water industries are also located within the watershed area. These companies include Coca-Cola Company, Pepsi Cola, San Miguel Beer Brewery, and all ice production plants in the city. This study have followed this analytical framework. To determine the groundwater availability through time, it employed statistical downscaling method, or SDSM. This software generated and projected climate scenarios, which shall be an input in determining the groundwater or recharge, which is analyzed using Brock 90 hydrological model. On the other hand, the historical water extraction and consumption was determined per capita method. Figure 3 is the interface of Brock 90 hydrological model and its variables that was factored in. Equations 1, 2, and 3 illustrate how to compute the demand side, accounting the projected water users based on the historical data. Finally, assessing the supply side versus the demand side in the 3-time slice period. Are you excited to know the result of the study? Here we go. For objective number 1, the result of the study revealed a decreasing groundwater availability across time. There will be 101.01 in the million cubic meter in time slice period of 2020 and decreasing in 106.91 in the time slice period of 2050 and continuously decreasing in the time slice period of 2080, having only a 100.0103 million cubic meter. Noticeably, there is an observed water supply for the month of March and April. For this area, these are the hottest months, in which undeniably the most water wanted month. On objective number 2, historically, there is an increasing trend of water extraction and consumption. Shade of deep blue is the water extraction, while the light green is the water consumption. Remarkably, there is a water leakage of about 24 to 34% annually, in which, with simple arithmetic computation, a loss of 4 years can already supply a year of water. DCWD has 4 types of customer: residential, commercial, government, and bulk sellers. The average annual rate of use is 326.79 million cubic meter per customer. And the projected customer will reach up to 400,000. With this computation, the water demand for the time slice period of 2020 is 84.71. Okay. By the way, the baseline data with the historical data from 1993 to 2010, the water demand is 42.09. For the time slice period of 2050, it can be noted that there will be a water demand of about 138.13 million cubic meter and continuously increasing for the time slice period of 2080 with 191.55 million cubic meter. Comparing the groundwater availability and water demand based on Brock 90 hydrological model, there is a decreasing recharge through time, factoring the climate change, the changing climate and the land cover in that particular area. While the supply side is decreasing, not increasing, no. The supply side is decreasing and the demand side is obviously increasing. Now let's check and answer the question. Is Davao City water deficit or water surplus? There is the answer. On the time slice period of 2020, covering 2011 to 2040, there would be a water surplus of positive 24.30. While on the time slice period of 2050, starting 2041 to 2070, there would be negative water deficit of negative 31.22. And remarkably, there is a continuous water deficit in the time slice period of 2080, having a negative 91.52 million cubic meter. In conclusion, groundwater is decreasing across time, while water demand is projected to increase through time. Water deficit is likely to be felt starting 2041. Though it is worth it to note that this might be experienced prior to 2041. Why? Because we just factored in the DCWD water extraction, excluding other big water-based industries. So here are the recommendations. Since Davao City or the DCWD primarily dependent on the recharge or the groundwater of Talumot-Lipadas, it is highly suggested to use the discharge or the surface water as its alternative. There is an urgent need to manage, develop the current Talumot-Lipadas watersheds or effectively manage the supply side. Considering the water leakage accounting from 24 to 34% annually, there is a need. There is a need for mitigating measures, promoting water conservation. And with the anticipated water shortage in the coming years, proactive planning is highly encouraged. All stakeholders and water-related sectors need to harmonize its plan to effectively implement its programs and projects to sustainably support domestic water in the city. That's all, and thank you for listening.